Wrestling Reverb is a part of the Pulse Podcast Network. Pulse Podcast Network provides you with the best variety of podcasts on the web, from sports such as the WWE and NBA, all the way through to Dungeons & Dragons podcasts and anything in between. Head on over to pulsepodcastnetwork.com, or you can download the Pulse Podcast app, which is available on both Apple devices and Android devices. Guys, Wrestling Reverb now has merch. Yes, we have hoodies, shirts, we have a baseball tee, we have merch. If you head on over to pulsepodcastnetwork.com, head on over to the shop, you can find Wrestling Reverb merch. You can find any podcast merch that you desire from the Pulse Podcast Network. And to celebrate, you can get 10% off any merch in the entire store using the code PPNLaunch. That's PPNLAUNCH. Put it in there, you get 10% off, and you can have all the merch you desire from the Pulse Podcast Network team.
Hello?
What's going on, everybody? This is the Wrestling Reverb podcast, a very special Tuesday edition of the Wrestling Reverb podcast. I'm Kevin. Josh is here with me.
Hello.
I know Josh went... What's up? Oh, just say hello? Say hello to the people, Josh.
Hello, everyone. It's usually me doing the introduction, but Kevin's taken the reins today. Everyone give a round of applause to Kevin because...
we're trying something new today just because of recent events.
Mm-hmm.
So I know yesterday, put out an episode, Josh chatted with Omega Luke from the Omega Luke podcast. Fantastic listen. If you haven't gone head back and listened to it yet, please make sure you do so either now or after you get done listening to this. But in light of how Raw went off the air last night, Monday night, we felt that it was important to get back in the studio and talk about just what happened, because it set the internet ablaze. It set the wrestling world on fire. It certainly set me on fire. And I've got plenty of takes. Josh, you got your takes too. This was just a necessary thing. I couldn't wait till Thursday to get some of this off my chest.
I'm the same. I have, and I will let you guys know now is that while me and Kevin see eye to eye on a lot of things, and while we always will see each other's point of view, we do have two different sides of opinion, I feel, on this matter.
Yeah, I think that's going to make this even more interesting for the listeners, is that we do agree on a lot of things, but right now, I think this is going to be more of an embrace debate type of scenario, which is fine. But that point you make is important, where we do see the other side of the fence. We see the other is talking about. We're not here to shout over people. We're not here to start a fight, to flame each other. All civility, all love here at the Wrestling Reverb.
Oh, of course.
So I guess I'll recap it a little bit. So to start, Monday Night Raw goes on the air last night with Becky, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon. Triple H says that Becky has been cleared by the doctors. Her suspension has been lifted as long as she apologizes. Now that's the main crux of the episode. Sort of the main storyline is Becky going to apologize to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon for striking them last week? She punched Steph in the face on Monday, slapped Triple H on Tuesday. So she's got a lot of thinking to do, and it shows throughout the night. Little segments backstage. She's chatting with Finn Balor. She's chatting with Alexa Bliss. Should she apologize? Should she stand her ground? It's a very big decision. So we get to the main event of the night. Becky's back out. Triple H and Steph are back out. And Becky apologizes. She apologizes to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in order to get her spot back in the main event of WrestleMania. The presumed, most likely going to be the main event of WrestleMania. Raw Women's Championship match with Ronda Rousey. So she apologizes. Right off the bat, I've got an issue with that. But we'll come back to that because I want to finish the little recap here before we get into takes. She apologizes, and Triple H and Steph are like, okay, that's good for them. They turn to leave the ring. Down comes Ronda Rousey. But right on Ronda Rousey's heels is Vince McMahon. Vince comes out, says that no. He says, no. I've had enough of this. He says, Becky, you're not the man. I am. You're suspended for 60 days. And we need someone to add to this WrestleMania main event, the Raw Women's Championship match with Ronda Rousey. This match needs a little bit of flair, Charlotte flair. And he brings out Charlotte to boos and to much fanfare. And that's how Raw ends. Becky is, in storyline, Becky is out of the match at WrestleMania, and Charlotte is in. Wow. Wow. So, yeah, I had a major problem on multiple levels with this whole segment. Even the beginning, even the opening segment. But I didn't mind that as much as this main event. This main event to me was just an absolute train wreck. So I don't get triggered often. I don't like to get mad online too much because I know it's something that a lot of people seem to partake in quite a bit. And I try not to fall into that trap, but they trapped me last night. They got me. They got me good. They worked me good. I will admit that freely. I was worked pretty hard by this whole thing. I was so mad. So mad. Here's the thing. For the longest time now, since it's been in the works that the main event of WrestleMania was going to be Becky and Ronda. And then you had people saying, well, maybe I think they're going to add Charlotte, make it a triple threat. I have always been on the side of keeping it one-on-one with Becky and Ronda. Now, Josh, I know that you are on the other side of the fence.
Yes.
You would prefer the triple threat, and I get that. And I wouldn't hate to see the triple threat. It would be a fantastic wrestling match, regardless of who's in the match. But I think that the story being told with how hot Becky has gotten recently, in the last 6 months or so, with how hot she's gotten and how good she's been, I just think it doesn't do justice to the story to insert Charlotte into this match.
I get it. I get where you're coming from. I do. First and foremost, this is where it all starts to go different for us because I actually enjoyed the segments. I thought they were good. Especially like the opening segment was good. I liked the way that the main event segment happened. I liked the way that it kind of played out. Like, I know a lot of people didn't, and I understand why, but I thought it felt different and it felt fresh to me. Okay, I can see what you're saying by it was a little bit of a cluster, a bit of a shitstorm, because a lot of stuff was going on. A lot of people were coming out. A lot was happening in the 7-minute segment that it was. I get that. But sometimes I like that kind of feel where anything's kind of happening and there's always something else going on. So first and foremost, I thought the segment was... I didn't think it was, brilliant, but I liked it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Different strokes for different folks, as they say.
Yeah.
And you're certainly not alone. There are plenty of people out there. I'd say it's almost an even split. Maybe I'd say almost an even split. People are happy about the main event, or they're absolutely up in arms about it. There's no middle ground. I will say that. I don't think there's anyone out there who's sitting behind their computer screen right now saying, the main event was okay. I wasn't really. There's no one out there that was like, it didn't move the needle for me. It moved the needle for you in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
So first and foremost for me, before we even get to the Charlotte angle of it, and I want to say this too, actually, real quick. I don't have any qualms about Charlotte's work. I don't know if you've seen her on Twitter today, And even last
oh yeah, it's been good.
she is absolutely roasting anyone who has the gall to speak up about this. She is locked in right now, and Charlotte is a heel at heart. She does her best work as a heel.
I agree.
So this is the bad thing that they've that's the right way to go about it. But before she even gets inserted into this picture, I just can't believe that they had Triple H and Steph come out there, demand an apology from Becky Lynch, the man, this badass character we've been so invested in for like 6 months now, who doesn't take crap from anybody, who operates on her own rules, on her own time. She walks her own walk. She talks the talk and walks the walk. And she comes out and she apologizes. And there's like nothing really. It was just sort of like, I apologize. And Triple H and Steph just sort of, they took it, and that was it. How could you knock her down like that? I don't like it.
I get that. I definitely get where you're coming from. What I think, that would probably be the only thing that I probably like 99.9% agree with you on, is that the way that it was done, I don't think an apology was necessarily a bad thing to do. It was just the way that it was executed. It was kind of awkward. I do get that.
Yes, that's a very fair way to put it. The execution was bad because it happened, and then
it was
after, like,
it was just kind of like,
it happened, and
whatever.
Right afterwards, you had all this other stuff going on. You had Vince come out and basically just say, I don't care what Triple H and Steph. He basically just negated everything that came before. Triple H and Stephanie accepted the apology, put her back in the main event. You could spin that as Becky being smart, and I will accept that. You could say Becky wanted to get back in the match. She wanted to get back in the main event. She was willing to do what she needed to do. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily on that side of the fence, but I get it. But then, for Vince to come out 1 minute later, not even a minute later, and just to basically say that apology doesn't matter because you're still out of the match, I just think that makes Becky look so bad. It makes me. She got humbled last night, and that doesn't fit for what they should be trying to do with her. She doesn't need to be knocked down a peg like she was.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Here's my kind of view on that little bit before we even get to Charlotte. I think they're trying to... WWE do this a lot. They go into their past. And I think a lot of people were saying, Becky's similar to Stone Cold, it's Wrestling 101. A underdog-like character that's not meant to be in the position they're in, fighting against authority. I think what they're trying to do, and this is a point that we made last week that isn't really making a lot of sense, is that they're flip-flopping a lot of, except for Shane, they're flip-flopping the three McMahons between face and heel. And I think what they're trying to do is separate the McMahon family. They're not trying to get them all as one alignment. But I think what their problem is that they don't exactly know who they want to be the face authority figure, with the exception of Shane, and who they want to be the heel. It's 1 minute Triple H is a face, Stephanie's a face, they're heels, Vince is a face and a heel. I think what they're trying to do, and you may not even agree with me on this, is that they're trying to get some members of the McMahon family maybe on Becky's side and seeing what, quote unquote, the man is about. And then they're trying to get Vince, in this example, on Charlotte's side and against Becky. And because he is Vince McMahon, he can kind of overrule anything. But then it just kind of, to me, to kind of even debate my own point, is that within the McMahon family, what's the point of having Triple H, Stephanie, and Shane if Vince can just come out and be like, screw that, we're going with what I think.
Yeah, I think you're right with what you're saying about the alignments here. I think they do want... I don't think they want all the McMahons on the same side. I think they want to split them up. But, why did I have major problems with authority figures when they're sort of the focal point. And when you take the focus and you put it on Vince and Triple H and Steph and what they're doing and where their loyalties lie and where their alignment is on the side of the heel face spectrum, I hate that. I hate putting the attention on them over the talent. You know what? You know what happened last night when they went off the air? My heat wasn't even with Charlotte. I wasn't mad at Charlotte because what did she do? She literally just was handed an opportunity and took it. I can't get mad at that. Obviously she's gonna want to be in the main event of WrestleMania. I would be shocked if she turned it down or if she said no.
Yeah,
that's just makes sense for her to want to be in that role. My heat is with Vince. My heat is with Vince now, and that's not how it should be. I shouldn't be mad at the Authority. I should be mad at Charlotte. Charlotte's the heel here now, and she should be the one where my ire is directed. But no, I honestly don't hate Charlotte. She hasn't done enough to make me hate her just by this. I think she's been doing good work, and I think that this is Vince's. I think Vince sort of puts it on himself now, and that's so overdone in the WWE. Is the evil Authority? I get that
it's overdone in wrestling in just general, like the evil Authority figure. It's nice to have sometimes, but in WWE especially, it's it's like they're just going to the well one too many times. Like they've done this every time they're stuck in a situation where they need to get someone quote unquote over. They just go to the Authority figure, like in comes Vince, in comes Stephanie, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and it's just it works sometimes. It's worked in the past, but we just had this whole long thing with Baron Corbin and Stephanie, and how Raw's been run by these evil corporate overlords, and they promised us a fresh start, and they went back to the McMahon family, who's been dominating wrestling for 30-some years. Yeah, it just that's like a whole different issue, the whole fresh start thing. But it rears its head here because now instead of caring about Charlotte, I'm mad at Vince. I'm mad at Triple H and Stephanie for demanding an apology. I feel like they've inserted themselves into a story where their presence wasn't needed.
I get that. See, I think this story with Becky versus the Authority, whatever the hell you want to call them, I don't have an issue with that. Because I think in this case, this is one of the times where it does work. However, when there's 3 Authority figures, well, 4 with Shane, but Shane's not really involved. He's doing other things. It gets clouded. Like, who the hell is Becky? Is Becky not meant to like them all? Are we meant to like them all? Is Becky meant to like them? Like, I get a little bit confused. I think this would work better with a clear-cut kind of maybe just Vince, or maybe just Stephanie, maybe just Triple H. But I see what you're saying, because this is very overdone, and I can see where your kind of head is at being angry at Vince, instead of maybe the anger being on Charlotte. Before we get into the whole Charlotte kind of deal and what's going on there, do you think that... Well, I think all along, I've said to you many times, in many conversations, that I've thought from the start Charlotte Flair is going to be in this match. I just knew that it was going to happen. But do you think that maybe somewhere along the line, maybe it's gone Becky, Ronda, they're going, okay, we're going to have one-on-one. But then with the reaction to Ronda Rousey, do you think that they go, okay, if we put Charlotte Flair into this match, it may take a little bit of heat off of Ronda?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I've seen that opinion echoed, and I do agree with it. I think they've seen the tides turn on Ronda Rousey so quickly. I don't think they expected it. I certainly didn't expect it.
No, neither did I.
I don't have a problem with Ronda, but
neither.
Clearly a lot of people do. I think they're overexposing her on the mic a little bit.
Me too.
I think that her character isn't quite what it. I don't think she should be like a face at all. Really, she should just be an ass
badass.
kicker.
Yeah,
that's what she is. That's what she is. That's what she spent her entire sports/sports entertainment career.
Yeah.
She should just be that. She should just be Ronda Rousey, the Ronda Rousey we got to know in the UFC. But instead, they've sort of done that. They've sort of painted her as like this. She's smiling. She's happy to be here. She respects everybody, and it just hasn't gotten over with the crowd. And they're turning because the crowd, they're fickle, notoriously fickle.
Yeah.
And they will turn on you in a heartbeat. The attention span of the WWE universe is so short.
Yeah.
That it only takes a couple of weeks for them to say, okay, we're bored of you. Now we're against you.
Yeah.
And I think WWE does nearly a good enough job at aligning characters like that because they're stubborn, I think. We saw it with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I can get that.
He got mercilessly booed for years, but they refused to lean into that for so long. They kept him as he was despite the crowd's reaction. And I think that actually ends up hurting. I think it hurt Roman for the longest time. And I think it's hurting Ronda now because she's clearly out of her element right now. She seems flustered. She's not performing at the level in ring still she's doing great, but it's the outer ring stuff that she wasn't doing that bad when she started that I think has gotten progressively a little bit worse. The promo,
I get that.
Sort of interviews and Twitter's obviously such a big part of wrestling now. Feuds are furthered using social media, and Ronda's been getting clowned on Twitter by Becky and by Charlotte back in November when Charlotte and Ronda had a feud. And I think that Ronda definitely has a lot of heat on her. I think Charlotte coming in does do a job of taking some of that off her. I just don't know. I just don't agree with necessarily taking that heat off Ronda. I am more in the camp of lean into it.
Yeah, I get that too. All right, we're not going to. I'm going to read a tweet that I sent out yesterday because it kind of sums up my deal on this. But feel free to get angry at me. It says, "I love to hate Charlotte Flair. I don't care. This is great stuff. WWE has us in the palm of their hands. People say WWE don't know what they're doing. They do. Maybe not all the time, but in this case, I think they do." I am on the team of that. This makes, at least me, I don't know, and this is coming from, I have to remind everyone, while I like Charlotte Flair, I'm not her biggest fan in the world. She's great. I think she's one of the best, but I'm not her biggest fan. I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan. You go back and listen to any podcast of mine and you'll hear my love for Becky Lynch, as a lot of people are. So this isn't a case of I'm biased towards Charlotte. In fact, I'm probably more biased towards Becky. But I see things in a bigger picture. I try to always see it from a business sense and just from a creative stance, just where I think it could go. But it's not right or wrong. It's just my opinion. But so I'm on the side of I want Becky Lynch to win this even more. The fight that she's going to have to do to get back into this match, because it's going to end up a triple threat. There's no question about it. It's not going to be Charlotte and Ronda. Becky's going to be in the match in some way, shape, or form. So here's my kind of take on it is that I want Becky to win this even more. The fight that she's going to have to do to get into this match is just going to make her even more over. She's going to have to fight the Authority even more. Vince, Stephanie, Triple H, whoever the hell they decide to put against her. There's still a long time until WrestleMania, guys. I still believe there's 54 days or something to the event. That's a long time. There's still 2 pay-per-views. That's 9 Raws, 9 SmackDowns. That's a lot of time.
And Josh, that's part of the thing here is I feel like there's 2 months left until WrestleMania. I feel like they're rushing this. I feel like they're rushing Charlotte. I feel like they rushed Charlotte into the picture. That's part of my issue.
Okay, yeah.
Is that I just don't feel obviously they're not going to actually suspend Becky for 60 days. But could you imagine like that thought process, like let's taking Becky off of TV for any amount of time if they choose to do so. And I believe if they don't take her off TV for like at least a week or two, then I will never listen to anything Vince McMahon ever says ever again.
Yeah.
Because this is twice now. They suspended her last week, then invited her to Raw. Now they're suspending her for 60 days. I don't think she'll sit out 60 days. We'll see her definitely. But I just feel like there's so much time left. There had to have been a better way to insert Charlotte into this match than by Vince coming out of absolute nowhere and just saying, yeah, you're suspended. I'm going to undermine what Triple H and Stephanie are saying. You're suspended. Here's Charlotte Flair. She's in the match now. There has to have been a better way.
Okay, so while I say what I say in the sense of I like this segment, what about if we went this way? What about, maybe not Chamber, but what is it called? Fastlane?
Fastlane. Okay.
Fastlane. Okay, so what about if we go to Fastlane, right? And, Becky and Charlotte have had their issues. Charlotte's just been kind of in this storyline to a certain degree. Just every week she's just been kind of, poking the bear with Becky Lynch. What about if there was some kind of a match at Fastlane that was Becky and Charlotte? Charlotte got under Becky's skin enough to get Becky to put her shot on the line, and the winner goes to Mania. What about if they had a match at Fastlane and Ronda Rousey got involved and screwed Becky Lynch over? And then Charlotte won the match, and then, Becky gets back into the match just due to the shenanigans. Would that have been a better way to do it, or would you still have been as angry?
I think that's a better. I'll always be against putting Charlotte in the match at all, but I think that would be a much better way to do it because you're telling a better story. You're giving Charlotte more of a reason to belong in that. Like what happens? Like Ronda could just come out in that Fastlane match and screw them and just beat them both up like she did at TLC. The only difference would be now there were stakes involved that pertain directly to Ronda. When Ronda came out at TLC and screwed Charlotte and Becky, that was for the SmackDown Women's title. So here, one of my beefs is because that was for a completely different championship. I get that, you could say Charlotte has beef with Ronda, but how come she gets to walk onto the other show to get her
Protecting
revenge?
the brand split. I agree with that. 100%. There's a brand split for a reason.
Yes.
Why is she getting a chance to go for the Raw Women's Championship? With the exception of Becky, because she won the Royal Rumble, so you get to choose.
Yeah, that's always been the exception.
Yeah.
Is in the Royal Rumble, you can challenge for whatever belts you want. Charlotte just literally walked onto Raw at Vince McMahon's behest.
I get that. I've always been one. I've wrote it in capital letters many times on social media. Protect the brand split. I've always been one. If you have a brand split, protect it. Otherwise, don't have it. Which I don't want. I want a brand split. It's better. But if you're not going to protect it, what's the dang point? Just have everyone go everywhere.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, with that TLC run-in from Ronda, it was on a SmackDown. She shouldn't have been there in the first place, but that was a pay-per-view. It's a dual-branded show, so you can make the exception that Ronda interfered in the SmackDown match.
Yeah.
And clearly she had beef with Becky.
Yeah. And Charlotte, for that matter.
And Charlotte,
beat her up with a kendo stick. Yeah.
If you do this match at Fastlane, and you make it, you add the stipulation where the winner gets to face Ronda, it's still technically a SmackDown match with Becky versus Charlotte, but you're adding a stipulation that makes it so the winner gets to jump to Raw. And if that match gets interfered with, then you have a very reasonable solution is to add them both to the title match.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I'll even take it a step further with the Fastlane idea. Because right now, Fastlane is a nothing pay-per-view.
Yep, it is.
Fastlane is so random right now. I don't know why they need 2 pay-per-views in between the Rumble and WrestleMania. But if you want to do it, there's your main event, Charlotte and Becky. You can have Ronda interfere, or this is what I would prefer because I don't want the triple threat. I would prefer, and I think I said this in the last episode, Becky beats Charlotte at Fastlane. And then she's in, and then you got your Becky Charlotte thing, and now you get your one-on-one match at Mania.
Yep.
But that's not gonna happen. They want Charlotte in the main event. I'm not naive. I do realize that.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, yeah, your idea is what is the way I would go. I'd have that match at Fastlane. I'd have Ronda blow it up. Then both women have a gripe with her still, a renewed gripe because it's been a long time. They have a renewed sense of beef with Ronda Rousey, and you get your triple threat match, but it makes more sense than just Charlotte saying, them just saying, well, let's just throw Charlotte on Raw. It makes more sense.
I get that. Listen, like a lot of, now, first and foremost, let's kind of the fan reaction to this. Taking away any of your own personal opinion, and I'll try to keep mine out of it. A lot of people, like we said earlier, there's no real middle ground. It's either you really, really like this, what's going on, or you hate it. Like, it's a total shit to you. You hate it. Now, we've both kind of stated our kind of stance, but to the people that are just those people that just like to bitch and moan and are taking... Mm-hmm. I've seen, like, you know how wrestling fans are, they take things so personally. They make such personal attacks towards Charlotte, Becky, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't think, which is fine, I'm not saying that everyone is a fan like us, and we can kind of see the bigger picture, and at least, even if you don't agree with it, you can see what WWE's plan is for Mania. A lot of people are like, F this company, this is so stupid, Charlotte can't wrestle, Becky can't whatever their opinions are. That's when I think this gets just a mess. And yeah. This is when I can't stand being on wrestling, like being on the internet with wrestling. It does get to me a little bit. Obviously, I don't partake in any of that crap, and I don't, respond. I even had people responding on some of my tweets, just saying, like, this is stupid, Charlotte Flair is so dumb. Like, it's just like, no. Like, anyone that is a wrestling fan, to the sense of we are, we always had it in the back of our head that Charlotte was going to be in this match. And of course there's going to be some kind of an outburst to it. I'm not saying that. Like, yeah, react accordingly. React how you want to react. Just, I don't think it's necessary to take these personal jabs at people and, telling Vince McMahon to go and die is just like, whoa, it's a storyline in wrestling. I understand getting worked up. I do as well. But my God, some of this stuff that I've seen to this level, when something blows up like this, people don't kind of take into account what they're saying.
Yeah, no, I've seen some very questionable things on the internet in the last 24 hours. It's and this goes without saying, it's just really important to discern characters from real people. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, and I'm worked up about this. I'm worked up about a television show.
Oh, me too.
But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go to the actors and actresses and performers in said television show and tell them to just screw off and die.
Yeah.
Because that's insane. But wrestling Twitter loves to go to extremes.
Oh, yeah, they do.
So I'm not surprised that I've seen that exact sentiment expressed today, yesterday, last night. I've definitely seen a lot of people just, hounding Charlotte, and that's just not fair to her, because even in the realm of storyline, she didn't do anything but get added to a match.
Yep. Any of us would say yes. Any of us.
She's roasting people, and if you got roasted by Charlotte and you have a comeback, by all means, because she initiated.
Yeah, go ahead. Same with Becky.
It's just there's a line somewhere. There's a fine line between bad taste and just righteous anger, and that line is so stepped on and stood over, and it hardly even exists anymore, because some people just get so out of their minds mad.
Yeah.
And can't discern between reality and fiction.
Yeah, and on the other side of the coin with the internet, Charlotte Flair has been doing some incredible work. I'll read out this tweet that she sent out just after the kind of segment, couple hours after. She said, "Wow, I didn't realize that so many of you didn't want me in the match. Taking that into account, I'll be asking management to remove me effective immediately. Just kidding, I could not possibly care less what you think," and then had a queen emoji. I just think that is just like, that was true heel. Like, that's just great.
And it's interesting that is, I did see that tweet. That is funny. That's a good tweet. I'll give her credit for that. There was another thing Charlotte tweeted. She tweeted a video, and it was a clip of Triple H cutting a promo from, I don't know, 2013.
I see it right here on the Twitter profile.
And it's all about how, fans get mad and fans complain and boo-hoo and they should just shut up and stop being marks. That is where I take issue. I don't like when heels insult wrestling fans for being wrestling fans. Insult the way I look, insult the way I dress, insult the way I talk. Do any of those things. Tell me you don't care about what I think. That's fine. But if you're a wrestler and I'm a wrestling fan and I devote my time and my money to you, why would you bash you could bash my opinion, but don't bash me for having an opinion, is what I'm trying to say.
I get that, yeah.
It's just it just seems in poor form. That I feel like there are better ways to get heat without insulting the people who basically build, like, without wrestling fans, there is no wrestling.
Yeah.
The business would collapse without the fans.
Yeah.
So don't call people. I don't understand how the word mark became. I'm a mark. I'm a wrestling mark.
So am I.
I don't understand how somewhere in the confusion and the chaos that became an insult that Vince Russo and his ilk like to throw around at people.
Yeah.
They like to call you're called a mark when you care too much. I never realized that it was uncool to care about something. And I've seen a lot of people like laughing at wrestling fans on Twitter, like, "Oh, you're so mad. Like, look at all these marks getting worked. Oh, they're so mad."
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Why that was a bad thing. Like, you obviously don't cross that line into into personal problems. But you're so allowed to be mad about this, and you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to voice their opinion. That's literally what Twitter is for people to voice their opinions.
Yeah. Sometimes
those opinions are a bit questionable, and sometimes they're not fit for public consumption. But everyone has an opinion. Everyone has the right to share it. And I just don't get why wrestlers clown people for that.
I get that a lot. And, like, talking about, like, marks and stuff like that. If I'm a wrestling mark, then does that mean I'm a mark for anything I kind of like? Like, my favorite band is Paramore, so am I a Paramore mark? And if
yeah, you are your mark.
Exactly, I'm a dumb mark. But, like, it's so weird with wrestling Twitter. Like, you look at your favorite band, your favorite any music, movie. It's not like, I don't know. Sure, things can get personal, and there's always going to be a troll or something like that. But it seems like every other person with wrestling is just a dumbass who is telling someone to F off. When you don't see that on other forms of entertainment, if you look around on my Twitter is obviously predominantly wrestling, but if you go on, for instance, just because I brought it up, but Paramore's thing, you don't see all that for Paramore. Like, it's not like a thing. It is really weird that wrestling fans sometimes aren't supportive of said thing.
We're such an interesting group of people, and like that some wrestling fans take an active delight in tearing down other wrestling fans.
Yes.
Whereas, to use your example, I love Paramore. They're a very good band. So I like the taste. You don't see Paramore fans telling other Paramore fans to piss off.
No.
Like, there's no, like, it's not like, oh, your opinion on Paramore is wrong. My opinion on Paramore is right. Everyone is a Paramore fan.
Yeah.
Everyone who is a Paramore fan gets along with other Paramore fans, I should say.
Yeah.
There are people who aren't Paramore fans, but it's not like wrestling where everyone's a wrestling fan, but there are so many different branches of wrestling fandom, and they actively seem to go to war with one another on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's very odd. It is an odd dynamic.
I agree, and it's It is weird, but then I guess that's what the world is at the moment. It's just it's kind of what we all signed up for, and I guess in a sense, and you just got to kind of block it out. But I mean, on the other side of things, we'll go to Becky's point of view. We talked about Charlotte. Literally, Becky tweeted, "This is complete and utter bullshit," which is fine.
And I've never identified with a tweet more.
I knew you'd like it. If you could retweet it 1,000 times, I think you would.
I know. They only gave me the one, but I put it to good use.
Becky, to my point of, while you are angry at Vince, a lot of people are angry at Charlotte.
Yeah.
Has WWE got all of us in the palm of their hands, or is this just a case of maybe being angry for the wrong reasons?
I don't necessarily think I'm angry for. I don't think people are angry for the wrong reasons. I think that people are justifiably angry. I feel like they didn't. You could say that they got us where they want us. I don't think that they did it on purpose. I almost feel like this is not on purpose. I feel like this is bad writing that turned into a good situation. I don't think, and I have this written down. I wrote down a lot of points before the show, and I wrote this down. Just basically thumbing your nose at the fans like they're doing, like the Becky fans, and there are a lot of Becky fans, and they basically just told them to kiss my grits.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good business necessarily. No, I don't think pissing people off. Obviously, you're going to have bad guys and they're going to make people upset. But I don't think the management deliberately making people mad is good business because they're working the fans. I don't think that's necessarily the best angle to take if I'm the WWE.
I get that. It's a very... out of everything with this, I think the thing I can take away from this the most is that, hey, we're talking about this, and I don't have a doubt in my mind now that this match is going on last. That's
the bright side to look at, is that there is absolutely no way this match is not main eventing because it is all anyone is talking about. You think anyone remembers the Rollins promo from Raw? I don't.
Nope. I couldn't give a damn. No offense to
Rollins.
Rollins.
Pulled a candle. And Seth Rollins, just a bit off topic. Seth got a little mad online today too.
I've seen that. Oh.
Yeah, I pull up the tweet later, but yeah, he basically said should I start using cuss words in my tweets to sound edgy? He sounds like a little bit of sour grapes.
Maybe because the attention isn't on him. He's in the Universal Championship match, and I don't. You know what? I like Seth Rollins. I do. I genuinely like Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think there's too many people saying that Seth Rollins is main eventing WrestleMania. He just happens to be in the Universal Championship match. It's just a thing that it is, and, if you're in Seth's shoes, you want to be main eventing WrestleMania. If you're in any wrestler's shoes, you want to be main eventing WrestleMania. You won the Royal Rumble match, you're going to, slay the beast. You want to be main eventing WrestleMania, and maybe in his mind is that this Becky, Ronda, Charlotte program is way overshadowing Brock and Seth's.
Yeah, I bet that is what he thinks. But to that, all I have to say is, and the thing that sucks for Seth is that it's not really even his fault.
No,
I don't think his promos have been terrific, but obviously his in-ring work has been fantastic, and he's been one of the hottest acts on Raw over the last year.
Oh yeah,
it just sucks because Lesnar's not there.
Yeah.
So how could you? It's so hard to build a main event feud with only one half of the main event.
Yeah, I really do understand that. Regardless, I don't care what anyone says. I'm enjoying this stuff, and it's a good time whether you are either side. It's a good time to watch wrestling because, hey, SmackDown's on in a couple of hours, and Charlotte's going to be on SmackDown, and we're going to want to hear what Charlotte has to say. We're going to hear what that crowd wants to do with her. And Charlotte will own it. And it will be a good promo. When Charlotte's in this kind of zone and when Charlotte's in this kind of mode, I do honestly stand by my belief that Charlotte is one of the best in the company. I really do
Absolutely.
think that. Charlotte gets a lot of crap. Charlotte is one of the best workers they have. When Charlotte's on in a promo, man, Charlotte is damn good in a promo. She shines in this heel role. She'll, bask in all this hatred from people. If anything, it's got us wanting to watch Charlotte, Becky, Ronda more. Here's another thing. And do you think, in a sense, that WWE are using Charlotte as a way to protect Ronda from taking the fall or the finish in the WrestleMania match?
Yeah, got beef here too.
Oh boy, here we go.
I 100% agree with that sentiment. I think that Charlotte is in this match to eat the pin. Because they don't want Ronda to look weak before she takes her time. They don't want her to take a pin. And like the going rumor right now is that Ronda is going to be taking some time off after Mania. Probably come back right around the time SmackDown moves to Fox, maybe. Mm-hmm. And then you could probably at some point you shake it up and you throw her over to there. But I think that's such a disservice to this story. I think it's a disservice to Charlotte, and I think it's a disservice to Becky. Charlotte is no one's job woman. Like, she's not there to eat a pin.
No.
I will say that for her. I will say that in her defense. If she's going to be in this match, she cannot just be there to eat. Like, her purpose cannot just be to eat the pin. That is crazy. But the thing is, with Ronda, Becky, why? The whole story is that Becky wants to prove she's better than Ronda. How does pinning Charlotte in a triple threat prove that? It doesn't. In my opinion, in my estimation, it does not. I think that's cheap.
I get that because we want to see Becky beat Ronda. She's beaten Charlotte. Charlotte's beaten Becky. It is a weird... I brought up the fact, and while I don't think that it will be an elimination match at all, I really don't, there is, somewhat of a silver lining if they were to go on that route, although I don't want them to either, but at least if it's an elimination match, Ronda has to get beat.
It's true, and then...
I don't think it would be a better match.
The only thing that scares me there is, what if Charlotte... as cool as it honestly would be to see Ronda get eliminated and have, the actual main event singles thing be Becky-Charlotte, I would be really on board with that. But if Ronda eats a pin in an elimination-style setting, it'll be probably from Charlotte. I have a feeling.
Really? You think that?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I get that, but...
I just think that... I honestly think that this whole time, and this is really defeating as a Becky Lynch fan, I think this whole time, I don't think Charlotte's ever been out of the main event.
I don't either.
I think Charlotte and Ronda has been the plan. I think Becky did a great job making herself so good to the point where they couldn't ignore her anymore. And Becky's really pulled herself up by the bootstraps and sort of gate crashed this proposed main event. I still feel like they overlook her in the WWE. I feel like this is more about. I feel like they want to make this more about Charlotte than they do about Becky. That's what gets me about adding Charlotte to this, is it puts too much focus on her. This story could be so straightforward. It could just be Becky and Ronda. Who's better? They've had so much beef. Charlotte had her chance at Ronda. She had her chance at Survivor Series, and she got herself disqualified. I get that she got screwed at TLC, but I still don't get why I just don't like that she gets another chance.
Yeah. So I think, let's rewind back here to the week before Survivor Series, and, we're meant to get Becky Ronda at Survivor Series. in a world where what happened to Becky with Nia didn't happen, and that match happened at Survivor Series, I don't think we'd be in this discussion right now. I think would be Charlotte Ronda. All hands on deck. I think Charlotte would have won the Rumble. Becky would be off doing something else. I think Becky may be even still the SmackDown Women's Champion. But I guess blessing in disguise, the best thing that ever happened to Becky Lynch was getting punched in the nose by Nia Jax. Really?
Yeah, right?
Like, I know that sounds horrible, but like her getting a concussion, her getting a broken nose and taken out of that match forced WWE to go, crap, we have 6 days to make a decision. We've got to make something that I think was going to be the main event of Survivor Series, Becky and Ronda. We have to put someone of equal value in there, and the closest thing to it was Charlotte Flair. So to a certain bit, is WWE doesn't want to repeat their Survivor Series, one of their Survivor Series main events in the main event of WrestleMania, and because Becky's got so dang hot, they have to kind of they've been put into a position where, like you said, they can't ignore Becky Lynch. Here's another little scenario. Okay, so all of that happened. We go into the Royal Rumble. What about if Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble, and then to get Becky into the match, there was still the same kind of stuff that's going on now with the Authority, but Becky just had to work that little bit harder. We go into Fastlane. Becky may even beat Charlotte, but Charlotte gets back into the match, or all in all, triple threat at Mania. But do you think it would have been a better story and better for Charlotte if she won the Royal Rumble?
It's tough to say. I don't know if I would have. I think it would have been too predictable for Charlotte to win the Rumble.
Yeah.
I think that if she did win the Rumble, I wouldn't have a problem with her facing Ronda, even though we already saw it. I'm a big protector of the Rumble guy, and that's another issue I have here, is that Becky won the Rumble. She won the right to a main event match at WrestleMania. I hate when I know they've resulted in some fantastic matches. You look at Bryan, Batista, Triple H from WrestleMania 30. As a result, Batista won the Rumble, but Bryan forced his way in. WrestleMania 20. Chris Benoit wins the Rumble. Shawn Michaels forces his way in. You get a great triple threat match at WrestleMania 20. I like the results of what happened there, but I really think that they they hurt the Rumble itself. They devalue it by making it so, well, if you have some sort of beef, you could force your way into that main event. I think that's unfair to Becky. She won the Rumble. She gets a main event match. It should be a one-on-one main event match. That's how it should be. She chooses to challenge for the Raw Women's title. That's how it goes. Charlotte came in second. That's great. She has a very great consolation prize waiting for her on SmackDown, if in the form of a women's title match with Asuka at WrestleMania. That's a whole nother thing too we could get into. Is like where that belt goes.
You want to see me get angry? Let's talk about that in a minute.
I do think that. I think if Charlotte won the Rumble, Charlotte Ronda should be the main event. I think the Rumble match itself gets hurt here by Charlotte just sort of being added to the match. But they've done it a lot too.
Oh yeah, so many times.
The Rumble more and more.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying. I definitely do. Listen, I'm here now. My head's here now. You brought up the SmackDown Women's title. Now, you're angry about this whole situation with Charlotte and Becky. I'm very angry with the SmackDown Women's Championship picture. Now,
I'm not pleased with it either, but you can take center stage here if you want, John.
Okay, so apologies for any explicit language that I'm about to use, but it's a bonus episode. I can cuss. But anyway, for the last, 3 weeks, Asuka has not been on television. I think 2 weeks. Whatever the hell it's been. They had a promo for her last week. We're, 5 days, 6 days out from Elimination Chamber. Asuka is nowhere to be seen. Asuka has no opponent. There's literally, I think, maybe one person on SmackDown that she could face that isn't in a program, and that's Lana. I don't think she's going to be fighting Lana for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I just don't think that's in the cards. However, you have Nikki Cross and Lacey Evans. They're new. I don't think they're going to be, going for a championship anytime soon. So my issue here is not the fact that Asuka isn't on the card at Elimination Chamber. There's other things going on. You've got the Women's Tag Team Championships, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's not my thing. Okay, now that you have Charlotte in the Raw Women's Championship picture, there is still a whole undercard that you have to build for WrestleMania to make WrestleMania not live on 1 or 2 main event matches. You have to have an undercard. In what world is Asuka, other than a big multi-girl match at WrestleMania, is there any valuable one-on-one matches for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania? Because there isn't. Here's WWE's problem with, I think, internally with a lot of things, but I think especially in the women's division. They build and put so many eggs in one basket with 1 or 2 or 3 stars that they don't give a fuck about anybody else. And their SmackDown Women's Champion, since winning the championship at TLC, has just stalled. It was literally a match for Becky at the Royal Rumble to get Becky and Asuka on the card, I think, in some regards. While I do think they provided a great match, I do think it was a little bit of stalling. We knew where Becky was going, but we had no dang idea of where Asuka was going. Asuka has just... The SmackDown Women's Championship, when Becky Lynch had it, she said it herself, and I agree in some ways. I don't think it was like the hottest championship in the industry, but it was a hot... people wanted that championship. Charlotte and Becky wanted that title. Asuka wanted that title. Asuka got it, and now it's just become a forgotten afterthought on SmackDown, where we're literally going into Mania with... I believe I said last week that maybe it'll be like Mandy Rose or something, but... Even to me, I love Mandy Rose, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't scream WrestleMania. There's no one-on-one match that screams WrestleMania. Sure, you could do a multi-girl match, but then you've got a triple threat, you've got a women's battle royal, you've got a women's tag team match. I'd like to see a one-on-one match. I don't think there's really any options here.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. I have to believe right now that they're gonna go with some sort of multi-woman match. And yeah, it stinks because I'd much rather see a one-on-one. But like you said, the WWE has done has gotten tunnel vision almost, especially in SmackDown with the women's division.
Yep,
it's been Becky, Charlotte, and Asuka, even to a lesser extent. Even though she's been champ now for like 2 months. She's still, in my mind, has been hell, she hasn't been on Raw she hasn't been on SmackDown rather in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. She's the champion.
A video package last week. 2 weeks ago, she was completely absent. She's the champion, right? You think she'd be, when Becky's champion, she's main eventing, opening and closing shows. Why can't Asuka do the same? It's not like Asuka's any less talented.
No.
She's just as much of a draw. I'll be like, she doesn't cut promos the way Becky does, but every time she's on the mic, you listen to what she has to say.
Yeah,
that is true. I firmly believe that is true. And outside of those 3 women, they almost stopped paying attention to the rest of the division.
It's so true. They do it on Raw as well to a certain degree. Like you look at Elimination Chamber, and Ronda is fighting Ruby Riott. No disrespect to Ruby, because I think Ruby is just so talented, but that woman is not on the level to derail a WrestleMania main event. I could nearly bet anything of my entire life that Ruby Riott is losing at Elimination Chamber. It's pretty damn obvious. It is just literally to get Ronda on the card. But if you're treating Ronda Rousey to get her on the card at Elimination Chamber, why the hell aren't you doing that with Asuka? If you've only got Lana, if you've only got Lacey Evans, if you've only got Nikki Cross, at least give her a match at Elimination Chamber and treat her on the level that is her equal as a women's champion to Ronda Rousey.
I think you're hitting the nail right in the head. Yeah, why shouldn't we see her on that level, right? She's been fantastic. She was undefeated for so damn long. Like they don't care about her. It seems like they're making it very clear right now that without Becky and Charlotte in that picture, the SmackDown title is a lesser title. That's why Becky and Charlotte are going over to fight for Raws.
Yep.
It's crazy. Becky cared so much about that SmackDown Women's title, and the minute she lost it, now she's over on Raw. Like, it does bug me because Asuka deserves so much better than what she's been given.
Yep.
And so does every woman. So does Mandy. So does Sonya. So does Naomi. So does Lana. The Iconics. They all deserve to be treated just a bit better. And that's just WWE's problem, is that tunnel vision with their top women on both shows, and men too on both shows.
Yeah.
They become so focused on the main event scene that they let their mid-card sort of stagnate. And there's no bigger example of that than the SmackDown Women's division, because while you have Becky, Charlotte, and Asuka doing great things, Becky and Charlotte doing great things, Asuka's starting to slip now, and then after Asuka, it's like a cliff.
I understand, like, within any division in the whole of WWE, NXT, in wrestling, of course there has to be levels. There's people on top, there's people on the bottom. That's just how wrestling works. That's how life works. But we're in a spot, especially with the SmackDown Women's division, and the Raw Women's division for that matter, is that there is the top, and then they've done such a poor job with building their mid-card of their divisions, is that no one is not, I wouldn't say ready, because people are ready to step up, but no one is believably ready to step up, like, to the level. There's not a person, say something happened and Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey got hurt, going into Mania, and they're like, we want to keep this a triple threat, we have to. There's not a lot of options as to who can step up in that role, because, like I said, WWE put all their eggs in one basket. Why Becky has done an incredible job, and I think WWE have done an incredible job of handling Becky Lynch into making her a star, is that they don't have any, you have to have backup plans. This is a professional sport to a certain degree, a professional level athletic competition. People get hurt. It is very high risk of getting hurt. You have no backup plans for outside of Charlotte Flair. I don't even think, like, this is horrible to say, but Sasha and Bayley aren't on the level of Charlotte and Becky. They're not.
Not the way they're going right now.
They're not. They're not in a spot where if Ronda got hurt, Sasha or Bayley couldn't just step up. Sure, the match would be fantastic. I'm not saying the quality of their in-ring work is poor. It's that WWE is built on characters. WWE is built on stories. WWE is built on momentum to a certain aspect. They don't have the backing to step up. There is just no level of outside of, we'll just pertain to the women's division, but outside of Charlotte, Becky, Ronda, the drop between those three and the rest is just, it's a long slope down. It's a very, very long drop, and that's the problem.
Yep. Because, yeah, there are going to be levels, but the levels should be pretty staggered pretty evenly.
And it should
to where
be, yeah.
You could make that jump from mid-card to main event without so much of a hassle. It's literally like a 3-story leap just to get up there right now.
Yep.
Like you had Sasha and Ronda at TLC, or the Royal Rumble rather, and it was good, but like it just was. You had to suspend your disbelief a little bit, because what had Sasha done recently to really earn herself a main event, a title match?
Yeah, she done nothing. All that Ronda was said, it was literally like Sasha was doing nothing but being friends with Bayley, and then all of a sudden Ronda Rousey's like, I think Sasha's the best in the world. Let me give her a title match. I know she earned it through Nia Jax, but that's not the point. You can't build someone in 3 weeks and expect people to believe that Banks was going to beat Rousey. That wasn't going to happen. They're doing the same thing with Ruby. Ruby Riott is not going to beat Ronda Rousey. That's not happening. And no. I don't. They made it clear.
They made it clear that match doesn't matter when they literally cut into it on Raw last night with a Becky Ronda segment.
Ruby Riott is the number one contender. Like, she's the number one contender. She should be treated as such. And okay, so let's get into a spot where we're going into WrestleMania. I know we're going on a bit of a tangent here, but we're here. Who cares? Asuka is, the SmackDown Women's Champion past Fastlane, because who knows, she probably won't be on that show either. She's going into WrestleMania, and there's a number one contenders match, and say someone like Naomi won. That doesn't scream WrestleMania to me. Sure, they could try and build Naomi, but they should have been building Naomi 5 months ago, not now. On the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah. The last we've seen from Naomi was she's beefing with Mandy Rose about her husband.
Mandy's done nothing to dominate that whole story.
That's the other thing too.
Is that, okay, what about, I know I'm biased, and this is just an example, but if Mandy Rose was the choice that they're going to go with to fight Asuka at WrestleMania, Mandy's not on that level yet. Sure, she could get there, and they're building her, but they've started way too late. If they're going to build her to WrestleMania, it's not believable, or at least not in my eyes, that Mandy Rose and Asuka is WrestleMania worthy. There's nothing on Mania other than a multi-girl match that could do that, and I want more from a women's championship match. They claim that, the WWE have built this women's evolution. They claim that they're, stuff, but if they're just going to throw together a championship match at WrestleMania on sheer fact alone, they have nothing else they can really go with. And this is just talking out of my ass here, because they could have a big plan for Asuka at WrestleMania. We don't know that. We honestly don't. But the way it's going, they should be building to something now. Sure, we've still got 50 days to Mania or whatever, but that comes by like that.
Yeah. This is supposed to be the time for your best stories.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be when you turn on the jets if you're a writer for the WWE. This is supposed to be the time where you focus all your creative energy and effort and make the best possible storylines heading into WrestleMania. Anything less than that, and that seems to be what we're getting. It doesn't seem like we're getting this epic, the story of epic proportions on the SmackDown women's side. It looks like we're going to get, in my opinion, a multi-woman match, which there's not going to be much story there. It's going to be probably like a brawl on SmackDown 3 weeks before the show.
Yep.
You have all this time. Use every damn minute of it, and even that might not be enough, because 55 days, great. You have to build up a talent that has zero build right now. You have to find someone that literally has no build right now.
Yep.
The only woman on SmackDown who has any sort of build is Mandy, and they would have to do a whole heck of a lot to get her ready to face Asuka at WrestleMania.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Nope.
Anything less than a WrestleMania caliber match for WrestleMania is a failure.
I know, and this is
all black and white. It's what it is.
And you look at last year. I believe you said you weren't like the biggest fan of last year's WrestleMania, but leading into that WrestleMania, there was a story for every single match going into that Mania that at least we had somewhat of an ability to care about. You had the Raw Women's Championship story with, the bullying stuff with Alexa and Nia.
Yeah, that's true. I hated it, but it was a story.
It was a story. Everything was built. They built Nia to that moment. I'll admit that. I'm not the biggest Nia Jax fan, but they built Nia to that moment. They built Asuka and Charlotte. They built AJ and Nakamura, Brock and Roman. The list goes on and on. Seth. Everything that happened at that Mania, we cared about. Everything. I'm sure that as we get past these 2 pay-per-views, which is so unnecessary, I think it should have only been 1. We've stated that many times. But once we get past these, sure, they're going to start putting some jets in some of these stories. But they're planting 0 seeds outside of their 2 big matches, which is the Universal Championship and the Raw Women's Championship. Like I said before, WWE are putting all their eggs in one basket here, and it could come back to bite them in the ass, because it's WrestleMania. All eyes are on your product right now. All eyes are on WWE, at least maybe not in the build, but WrestleMania is a big deal. A lot of people watch WrestleMania that don't watch wrestling any time of the year. If this is your show to get people to watch Raw the next night and to watch Raw every single week, This is your chance to do it. You better make sure that you're building talent to that moment, because if us wrestling fans that are watching your product every week, like me, you and I, we watch wrestling every week for the most part. We are watching every show. A casual fan is not. So if we don't care, a casual fan is certainly not going to give a damn come WrestleMania about, Tom, Dick, or Harry. It's just not a thing. And Charlotte, Becky, Ronda is great. Okay? We've got that. There is enough fire in that to, send us through to Mania. Seth and Brock is getting there, especially once Brock starts coming back on TV leading up to WrestleMania. But other than that...
Yeah,
what
we don't even have we don't have a story for the WWE title match. We don't know what the hell is going to happen with the WWE title, the supposed most prestigious title in the business, and we don't know what's going to happen with it. And they're going to have to wait till after the Chamber, maybe till after Fastlane,
to really get the gears going. Yeah,
pay-per-views is that you're stunting your storytelling because you have to do something with these pay-per-views.
Yep.
You can't just ignore them and rush ahead to WrestleMania. But and the reality is you're screwing yourself over because you're not giving yourself enough time to prepare for WrestleMania, because you have to write for these two pay-per-views too that in the grand scheme of things don't matter.
Nope. It doesn't. And you know what? I found out this isn't an unpopular opinion when I put it on the internet, but the internet is wonderful. I'm in the believer that I don't think it's really necessary to have a pay-per-view between Royal Rumble and Mania. I think you could build... I agree. I don't think there's a... Sure, okay, in WWE land, they like to have pay-per-views. I'd be fine with one, but I don't even think it's necessary to have any. You could build 60 days between... or 70 days between Rumble and Mania and have stuff happen on your weekly television show. Every week have something happen. You could have title matches. You could have, stuff building up to WrestleMania. You can actually book a WrestleMania match where the stuff in between matters, instead of just having Ronda Rousey on a pay-per-view defending against Ruby Riott, where literally that match could happen on Raw and it's non-important. It is non-important. It's not going to change anything. Ronda is just something to do. If you had no pay-per-view, there would be no reason for this match. So therefore, you could just keep building towards Ronda defending the championship against whether it's Charlotte, Becky, whoever the hell she wanted to defend it against. You could build. And you could start building programs for the SmackDown championships and the tag and the cruise, everything. Absolutely everything. The Chamber and Fastlane to me are just nil and void. Get rid of them.
I agree with that so much. Is it an unpopular opinion? I've never posed that question.
I put it on, I believe like a week or so ago. Maybe it was just after I don't know, it was sometime in the last couple of weeks. I said that WWE, I don't think it's necessary to have any pay-per-view between Rumble and Mania, and everyone's like, no, you have to have a February pay-per-view, it's just what it is, like Elimination Chamber or No Way Out or whatever it was, like you have to have a pay-per-view. And I'm like, as soon as they ask why, because I don't really participate with people, I don't like to argue with people in the internet, I like to just keep things civil, and I don't participate in that kind of stuff unless it's necessary. But all I said was why.
Unless sometimes you have to.
Yeah, of course I've participated in a few, but I asked why, and I got blocked by 3 different people. 3 different people. And all I said was, why is it necessary? And I'm like, well, if you can't answer that question, then obviously you don't have a valid reason other than you just want a pay-per-view in the middle. It's an unnecessary pay-per-view that doesn't need to be there, in my opinion. And I'm getting heated, but my God, like, it's not like regardless, it's not like I'm not going to watch these pay-per-views. Of course I'm going to watch these pay-per-views. I hate when people say, well, you're still going to watch them whether they're on. It's like, well, yeah, because I'm a wrestling fan. I watch what WWE put out.
Oh, it's the worst argument anyone ever makes. It's like, why do you even watch it? Like, I love wrestling.
I love WWE.
I'm not going to stop watching it.
I love WWE.
That doesn't mean I can't criticize and get mad about things.
Yeah, it's like if you don't like
everyone has their favorite.
God's sake.
Everyone has their favorite television show, their favorite movie, their favorite album, but they can still find things. Nothing is perfect. if we just sat here and we're like, oh, this is great, that is great, this is great, that is great, the whole thing is great.
It's boring. It's so
Yeah,
boring.
so boring, and we wouldn't be doing our due diligence as fans because no matter how much we might not believe it, the WWE listens to the fans,
I
right?
agree.
So we wouldn't be doing our jobs as fans if we didn't let them know what we thought. If we just we're yes man stooges, then they wouldn't get any better.
Like, the things we love the most, we criticize the most because we care the most. My favorite television show is Parks and Rec. I love Parks and Rec. Do you think there's episodes of that show that I don't like? Of course there is. And I would happily put that on the internet if I wanted to. That's what the internet, that's what Twitter is for. It is to voice our opinions on what we like, what we don't, what we love, what we hate. That is what it is. Your prerogative, what you put on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Tumblr or MySpace, whatever the hell you use. But
if you're still putting stuff on MySpace, we need to have one discussion.
No one's. You could just have a discussion with yourself because no one's on there. But it is just the things we love the most. We're going to say what I'm the first person to admit when I love something and when I don't love something, but I'm not doing it because I love WWE. People are always like, I love New Japan, I love Ring of Honor. I love WWE. It is my main form of wrestling. Sure, I watch other things, but I love what that company is. I love what it's become. I do. Sure, there's things that are wrong with it, like anything, but I love WWE. I hate when that argument comes up as like, oh, like with the pay-per-view things, it's like you still want to watch Elimination Chamber, you still want to watch Fastlane. Yes, because I love the product. I will watch whatever they put out. But it doesn't necessarily mean I agree with everything that's going on, or I agree the fact that these should be pay-per-views. Wrestlers within the company. Sasha Banks had an interview 2 months ago, and she said, I don't know why we're having Fastlane. WWE put out too many pay-per-views. She's a talent within the company. She has a right to her opinion. If a talent within the company is saying that, and at heart, Sasha Banks is you and me. She is a wrestling fan. But you don't have people coming after her going, well, why are you wrestling on that pay-per-view? She's wrestling on that pay-per-view because she loves what she does, and it's her job to do that. So, I hate that argument. I never really, like anyone that's listened to my show, and you know me, Kevin, I'm fairly chill with things, but I never rant like this at all. But fuck's sake, it just pisses me off. I just am in a very, this situation with Charlotte and Becky has brought out some of the worst in wrestling fans. And I just don't like participating in that kind of stuff. And I know we've gone on other things about Asuka and just pay-per-views and just our frustrations, but, I mean, is my argument valid in the sense of, I have a reason to be worked up about some people, and just the fact that, I know you well enough now to know that you love WWE, you love professional wrestling, you love this stuff, and I know that you have your opinions on things, I have my opinion on things, but to me, you are the perfect wrestling fan because you take what I say and you go, yeah, I see it, here's my opinion. And I hate when I give an opinion just tweeting out something about anything, whatever it may be, and it's just like, fuck you, idiot. You're stupid, your opinion is wrong. Why can't... We all love wrestling, and at the end of the day, majority of us want wrestling to be the best it can be.
Yeah,
that's why we everyone down.
That's why we criticize, is because we love it. We want it to be as good as it could be.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have different opinions. I'll circle back to the Paramore metaphor. Not everyone has the same favorite Paramore album. Not everyone has the same favorite song. Nope. You might be a fan of their older work, the Misery Business era, and I might be more of a Hard Times kind of guy.
I am.
But at the end of the day, we're both Paramore fans, and we both want Paramore to be as good as it could be. So regardless of what style of music they're putting out, we're still going to listen. We're still going to critique, but we critique because we love, and that's how we feel about WWE. You might be a fan of the Attitude Era, you might be a fan of the Ruthless Aggression Era, you might be a Hogan fan, a Rock fan, an Austin fan, what have you. But at the end of the day, you're a wrestling fan above all. And you might not agree with everything that's going on in this current era, but you still love it, and because you want wrestling to be as good as it could be, you're going to watch, you're going to critique, criticize, you're going to offer tips, you're going to offer constructive criticism, and that's just what we do. That's our prerogative as wrestling fans. Is that's how we express how we feel about wrestling.
Yeah, and you and I we're wrestling fans at heart. We also have a podcast about wrestling. We do this.
We are on it right now.
We're literally on it for anyone that's still listening to our tangent today. But we are literally if we didn't love wrestling, if we didn't want WWE to be the best it can be, if we didn't still have a heart for wrestling, there would be no way I would be doing this. There would be no way I started this podcast. There would be no way if I asked you to do this podcast that you would be saying yes. There'd be no way that you're doing your blogs. There'd be no way that you're writing about wrestling. There'd be no way because you have no care, you have no passion, you couldn't care less what happened. We care about everything that happens. And also, us as wrestling fans, why I think a lot of wrestling fans are shits, there's a lot of people like us that will watch it and just kind of go along with the ride, have our opinions, but still agree that this is the story that we're getting told, and this is the story we're going on. It's not like I can go up to Vince McMahon or the creative writing team and say, hey, this is so dumb, change it. That's not how things work. They're a television show that is marketing to a person that is 4 years old and a person that is 84 years old. They have so many markets to get to, and because Kevin doesn't like this thing, well, then we better stop that. No, but it doesn't mean that Kevin and Josh and Harry and Stephanie aren't allowed to have their opinions. We're allowed to have our opinions because we want the best. Whether you don't agree with Charlotte Flair being added to the match or Becky being removed or whatever, it doesn't mean that you're not going to, in an hour's time, watch SmackDown. You're going to watch SmackDown. You're going to watch Raw next week. You're going to watch Fastlane. You're going to watch Elimination Chamber. It is our livelihood, our right, and our love of wrestling that makes us want to do A, watch it, and B, do this, talk about it for an hour and a half and not bat an eye at it. We still love it. Just because we're critiquing it doesn't mean that we hate it. I've never had a time where I hated professional wrestling. Never. Sure, I don't agree with it, but I don't hate it, and I don't think I ever will. But my lord, it's just, this is the only thing in my life that I get as fired up about as I do, because I care. It's my first love. Pro wrestling is my first love. It's just, it's a lot. Wow, I need to breathe. I didn't breathe in that entire sentence.
I just got sharped on Twitter while we were talking.
Here we go.
Because I tweeted out that video that Charlotte tweeted at Triple H. And I tweeted, I know it's heel work, but why must wrestlers make fun of fans for being passionate? It seems like there's better ways to draw heat. Insult me in any number of different ways. Don't clown me because I care enough about the show you're on to voice my opinions. It would be decidedly worse if no one cared about wrestling at all. And someone comes in and says, the only people who get cranky about statements like that are people who do nothing but whine and complain, but keep watching week after week after week. That kind of person drives me up the wall. The person that just thinks, oh, you're complaining. Why are you watching? Why are you getting mad? Oh, God, it's annoying.
It is, you know what, it just plain right, it sucks. There's no really other way to put it, is that there's just people in the world like that. But, I mean, like we said, everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's just the way that you go about your opinion, because it's constructive. In my mind, anyway, it's what we're talking about is getting this off our chest, for one. We talk to someone else who feels differently, who feels the same. And for two, it just, at the end of the day, your and my opinions, they matter in a certain degree. They don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Literally, we're just two dudes on the internet talking, essentially. But I know I've said it before, but it just pisses me off so much that people just want to tear each other down so much. I've never been about that landscape, especially to people that I've never met in my life.
Yeah,
Like, I've never met
yeah,
anyone.
that makes it so easy for people. It's like, oh, I don't know this person. I'll tell them their opinion's wrong or invalid or that they suck. It's just unbelievable the balls people have on the internet nowadays just to say what they want to say without any fear of repercussion.
Yep.
And it gives people a license to just be so mean to one another. I've seen so many like arguments and so many like battles back and forth between two people who are at the end of the day fans of the same thing. It's just it boggles my mind to see how much toxicity and hate there could be in one community of people. It's not like they're two completely different factions of people. They're all wrestling fans. We're all under the same umbrella, and yet some people just hate, and they're just so mean.
God forbid if you have a favorite wrestler that isn't the favorite wrestler of another wrestling fan, because damn, I'm a fan of Mandy Rose, and do you think people get on me for that? Oh my God.
Oh, I bet.
I'm not allowed to like Mandy Rose. I've realized that on the internet, that if I like Mandy Rose, I don't know what wrestling is. I don't know how to like it. You have a favorite match and it doesn't agree with someone else, and then that's a shit match. Fuck off. Like, honestly, just piss the hell off.
And I always try to be like, if someone comes at me on Twitter and like flames me and throws an insult my way, I try to ignore it.
Oh, me too.
I try, but sometimes it pushes your buttons a little bit. And I always try to be, if I do respond, I try to be civil.
Oh, me too.
I try to say, well, here's my opinion, but I get yours. Sometimes, though, that just doesn't work, and I just have to ignore it, because sometimes people don't even offer opinions stooped in fact or even like fanfare. They just say it to be contrary and to disagree with someone. Some people just live to argue.
Yep.
And those are the kind of people I can't engage with, because I'll get caught in like a rabbit hole with them.
Me too.
And at the end of the day, it becomes something I hate. I don't want to be an arguer. I don't want to be like a shit stirrer on the internet. That's not why I am on the internet. I don't want to be stirring the pot. I come here to meet like-minded individuals like yourself who could talk wrestling for almost 2 hours without any sort of problems.
No, and I don't want to have that reputation against me at the end of the day of, oh, he is an arguer, like, watch out what he says, because I'm not about that, especially as I'm doing this and stuff like that. I want to be an open, inviting person that's like, hey, I'm happy to talk about any forms of wrestling or any forms of anything, and I'm happy to listen to opinions, I understand opinions, but there are just people that are trolls that just argue for the sake of arguing and try to get a rise out of you. And that's with anything in life. That's just, it's a form of, it's just a troll, it's a bully, whatever it is. For anyone that is listening to this, that has had issues with that, never stoop to their level. It's not, I'm not a therapist by any means, I'm not a doctor, but it's just stupid. I've done it before. I'm sure you've done it before. I've stooped to people's levels in the past on the internet.
Once or twice, I just couldn't hold back.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all it does is make things worse for you, because it just makes you look like an ass. It really does, and it's just not worth it. If you have that much of an issue, block it.
No one wins in a Twitter argument because you both look stupid.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, man, we have gone from different topic to different topics, but it was much needed. I needed this. I needed to get a few things off my chest. This is why this is a bonus episode. We're going to be back later in the week for regularly scheduled content, because, Kevin, this is the first time I'm telling you, but get your predictions ready, my dude, because we're doing an Elimination Chamber prediction show this week.
Okay. I'll get them ready.
Not that there's, I think it's, I don't know about you, but it's a fairly obvious pay-per-view to me.
It's going to be that. And it goes back to what you're saying, that the February pay-per-views are of almost no consequence. Nothing's going to change, really. Unless they decide to completely swerve us, in which case it probably won't be a smart move.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. I will also say that you've seen on my Twitter, Kevin, and anyone else that's kind of following me along, Wrestling Reverb now has merch. We have a hoodie, a baseball tee, and a normal unisex t-shirt. There's more coming. soon. But if you head over to pulsepodcastnetwork.com and find the shop link, you can find all the Pulse Podcast Network merch. Wrestling Reverb is there. And for anyone listening, if you want 10% off of any merch on the store, you can use the code PPNLaunch. That's PPNLAUNCH. Use that code to get 10% off on any merch that you purchase, whether it's Wrestling Reverb merch or anything on the Pulse Podcast Network. You can go and do that. And also, I know Kevin is excited about this as well because we get to go back and watch old wrestling events. Next week, our second episode in the week, later in the week next week, will be the first edition of Reverb Rewind. We have got the 4 choices now on my Twitter. Kevin's also retweeted it as well, so you can go to his Twitter as well and find the poll. But it's also open on my Facebook and my Instagram. There is 4 choices. You've got 1 week to do so. It is Bad Blood 2003, No Way Out 2009, SummerSlam 2014, and Survivor Series 1999 to pick. And me and Kevin are going to sit down, watch this event. We're going to write some notes, and we're going to recap it just like we do with any pay-per-view. I'm excited because I get to go back and watch wrestling events that I haven't watched in a very long time. Yeah,
it's a pretty good selection too. I was looking at some of the shows we might get to watch. I have my leanings. I won't disclose them on air.
Oh, me
either. I did vote in the poll.
But it should be fun.
I'm happy with
yeah.
I
tried to make a different kind of choices here. I
wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like maybe 4 WrestleManias or 4 Elimination Chambers, but we're all over the map here, and I dig that.
And that's what I was like. I was thinking, okay, do we start with WrestleManias being WrestleMania season? Do we do a little bit of an Elimination Chamber thing? I just was like, what? Honest to God, do you want to know how I did this, or do you want to hear my brain on this? So I went through Wikipedia. I got a heap of wrestling pay-per-views. I put them into a randomizer on my phone, and these were the 4 that drew out.
Brilliant. That is the best way to do it. Wikipedia has never let anybody wrong before.
And I was just like, hell, they're all of weird different times. They're all in different kind of weird eras. And I was like, this works. I have an inkling of what may win, but there's also a lot of my Facebook that's going on my Insta. I've got DMs from people saying what they want. So this is kind of nice. It's going to be nice to count next week. But regardless, you and me get to go and watch old pay-per-views, so I'm fine with that. I don't care what it is.
Can't complain.
And as we kind of move along, Reverb Rewind won't be a thing that happens every week. I think it will be a thing that happens just whenever we kind of plan to do it, just because it's easier that way. But it starts next Thursday, Friday, whatever time zone you're in. It'll be my Friday next week, your Thursday, Kevin, when we'll record it.
Time zones, confusing.
I know. I'm sitting here and it's just like, it's Tuesday. Wednesday. Oh, Tuesday. It's Wednesday. God, I don't even know what day it is. But we will start on Reverb Rewind. We'll sit down and watch whatever pay-per-view wins. And the beauty of what I like about this so much, you can kind of give your thought too, but we're not in that time, so we don't exactly know, like we're talking about Charlotte and Becky, we don't know what's kind of going on before and after. We just got to watch the pay-per-view for what it is. So that kind of takes away that part of it, and I can just enjoy the pay-per-view, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting little. I think we'll have an interesting perspective with some of the pay-per-views, especially since there's 99 Survivor Series 99, Bad Blood. Definitely, it'll be fun. It adds an interesting little wrinkle to the whole thing. Watching a pay-per-view from yesteryear.
Yeah, it'd just be weird and contrast in time, and I'm excited.
Such a different style too. Like it's compare and contrast to today's wrestling. There's so many different avenues we can explore.
Yeah, and I'm just keen on everything. I feel like, and I've sent you messages of people, what they've said to me about you and just how they like you on this show. So first and foremost, before I get into my kind of thing, thank you very much for agreeing to this, because it's helped this show tremendously. You are a great just a great person all around, I think. But you just you add an element to this show that was lacking and I needed, and it's just a good foundation. This is your 4th episode, I think, 3rd episode, whatever it is. And we're already building on a foundation and a brand that Wrestling Reverb has become. Like, I'm just excited to see where we're at in 12 months, 14 months, 15 months.
Thanks for, again, I could say this every week until the end of time, and it won't ever lose meaning for me, but just this has been such a blast for me. I get such a kick out of doing this every week, twice a week, 3 times a week, depending on how many rants I need to go on. But this has been so much fun, and I'm looking forward to just churning these bad boys out from people. Any compliments people want to send my way, feel free. I love vanity searching my own name and seeing what comes up. So
it is, but it is nice to have, just the dynamic of you added to this show and that, and as we kind of do things like Reverb, Rewind, and whatever it may be, it just adds that element that I was lacking in this show. Without going into specific numbers, downloads have gone up, views have gone up, followers and whatever have gone up, so that's good. That's a good thing. My goal for this wasn't, sure, I'd like this to be huge. I want Wrestling Reverb to be a huge podcast, but at the end of the day, I just want to have fun. I want to talk about wrestling, and I want to converse with people that echo that statement. So that is my kind of goal for this. But okay, so we'll be back later in this week, of course. We'll do our Elimination Chamber prediction shows. Next week, we'll probably have our Elimination Chamber recap. We'll have Reverb, Rewind, and whatever the hell else comes our way between now and then, because hell,
I'm sure something will come up.
We don't even know what's happened on SmackDown yet, so I may get a message from Kevin later being like, I need a rant, and guess what? I'll be here to listen. So, thank you very much to everyone for listening to our little tangents there about whatever the hell we just went on about. Anything else you want to get off your chest, Kevin, or say, or...
I recognize that we may have gone off the rails just slightly in this episode. I don't apologize. I 100% own up to everything I said. And just thanks for listening. Buy our merch. That's really it. Just support the brand. And
you really haven't talked about this on podcast too much, but hey, this is your chance to. This is your chance to plug away. Your blogs. I have graciously been reading lately. I've gone back in the archives of Kevin, and I found some that I like. I've seen that you've got some things coming up. Is there anything you would like to promote away for your blogs?
Okay, yeah. Since you've so graciously given me the floor, I'm gonna be back. The last week or two or so, I've been sort of blocked up. I haven't been churning out as much new content as I would have liked. Hopefully that changes. On Friday, I'm gonna be putting out my little project I've been working on. I did something back in January in honor of the Royal Rumble. It was called the NFL Quarterbacks Royal Rumble, in which I took 40 quarterbacks from the National Football League, sort of threw them in a randomizer. It was partially randomized, partially in my own mind, and determined which quarterback in the league would win a Royal Rumble. So, and that got a lot of love, and that was a lot of fun for me to do. So I decided to jump back in the well. And now, Josh, I don't know if you're familiar with these games, but when I was a kid growing up, the Backyard Sports series of video games for the computer were such a big part of my life. I played them most every day. And so I did realize while I was looking some things over, looking for maybe new ideas, that there were exactly 30 characters in the original game, Backyard Baseball, and there are 30 entrants in a Royal Rumble. So I did the math added up. And so on Friday, I'll be releasing my Backyard Sports Royal Rumble. 30 entrants, completely randomized. Just running through an Excel spreadsheet, see what happens. That'll be out sometime Friday. So if you're on my Twitter at Kevin C Wrestling, if you're on my blog at that's not a Twitter handle, but thelastbloggerstanding.wordpress.com. That should be out sometime Friday. And hopefully I get back to doing some more routine writing. I have been like I said, blocked up the last couple of weeks, real bad. But hopefully, with this sort of publication on Friday and doing some more podcasts and getting some more opinions out there, I will be able to get some more work done on the writing front.
Yeah, it's I know from high school I love creative writing. I know it's a little bit different, but I know how like easy it is to get blocked in a writer's block. It sucks, and you just literally got to write it out until you kind of get past it. But Kevin's stuff is really, really good. I'm not just saying that. It is actually really good. So please check out all of his stuff as well as him here on the podcast. And yeah, we'll I'm sure we'll talk about that stuff again at some point over the next however long we decide to do this podcast for. We'll probably be in our 80s, like, we hate Becky and Charlotte still fighting.
A couple of geriatrics complaining about Elias and why he's not getting used enough.
They'll still have Jeff Jarrett trying to wrestle in the year 2040. Yeah. Like,
he'll never die.
It'll just, we're always going to have something to talk about. That's another thing, just as we kind of end this, is, with podcasting that I love so much, is that this stuff with Charlotte and Becky and that literally less than 24 hours ago. And we're already on a podcast putting it out to the internet. And it's just I just think it's a wonderful outlet just for us in general. Just get it off our chest. Like, I've got that rant out and I feel way better. Like, it just
I'm glad you feel better. Yeah, no, definitely. It's so convenient that we're able to just run and do this on like a moment's notice. Where, last night after everything unfolded, we basically you messaged me and you said maybe we do a bonus episode. I'm like, I have a lot of stuff to get off my.
It was too much of an opportunity to let slip.
Yeah, with a big thing like that, it's just really good that we have the podcast available to, like, on a whim, where we could just try on an episode on a moment's notice and have it ready immediately.
Yeah. We have a lot of things in the works. We've got some people that want to come on. I've got asked to go on a few other podcasts. I think you have as well, Kevin, unless I'm mistaken.
The Everything Pro Wrestling podcast, doing a live show on Saturday, I believe I'll be on. Yeah,
so we are expanding out and doing some other things, which is always good to get other opinions and bring them back to this podcast and having people on. The guys from the Ruthless Aggression podcast, they both desperately want to come on, which is great because I desperately want to go back on their show. They are fun dudes that just like to have a good time. So it'll be a very different episode.
Anyone to anyone listening out there, a wrestling fan, they want to chat with you guys about wrestling for a little while. I mean, I'm open to pretty much. I don't know about you. Maybe you have strict requirements.
Oh no, I don't. Anyone that has, as long as you're not an asshole, I'm good.
Basically, as long as you're not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Just I'm open to pretty much anyone coming on the show chatting. It'll be if it's half as much fun for them as it is for me and you, then I think it's a job well done.
Yeah, just don't be afraid to tweet or message myself or Kevin. We're very...
DMs are always open.
Yeah, we're very nice people. We're always very inviting. And there's always something to work out. It might not be the next episode or the episode after, but there's always going to be another episode. So whoever wants to come on and just chit-chat about wrestling, what I like about this kind of podcast is that it's just... Sure, we have themes and there's certain things that we like to cover, but for the most part, it's just a chat. It's just like 2 people chatting, 3 people chatting about wrestling. So whoever wants to come on, as long as you kind of have an idea of the product, me and Kevin will listen to you. All open ears. But yeah, that's kind of in closing, as I kind of breathe after all of this. I stand by what I said. Come at me on Twitter. I dare you. No, please.
Oh, yeah. Guys, if you want to come at me on Twitter, I can't guarantee I'll respond, but if you're civil about it, you'll hear from me.
Yeah, and please, I encourage everybody, go to iTunes, rate this podcast 5 stars, leave a review, listen to it on whatever outlet that you're listening to on. I've made it very clear, and I've made it like my mission to get this podcast on as many places as possible. iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Anchor, Spreaker, YouTube. The list goes on and on and on and on and on for different outlets where you can hear this podcast. As I kind of move in towards this year, I've stated before, my YouTube videos are coming back soon. I've got something in the work that I'm trying to work on. It's just working out a few kinks. Twitch is coming back very soon. I may or may not have broken my capture card, but I'm getting another one soon. There was a little bit incident with my dog, but we won't go there. It wasn't a fun time, and I wasn't happy. But I'm getting back onto that. Kevin said he is more than happy to join in on some Twitch streams when I get that back. We'll have a chit chat. I'm going to play some old wrestling games, and it is just literally just shooting the shit and just being idiots. And in contrast of the podcast, it's nice just to be a complete doofus, which I definitely have inside of me. I can just be a complete and total moron. So, I like that. But yeah, please everyone, go check out all of our stuff. Keep listening, keep tweeting at us, keep asking to be on this podcast, because we want it all. And we'll see you later in the week, because, yeah, we'll have a nice little Elimination Chamber chat, because I'm sure we'll probably rant about that too.
Yeah, there's going to be some stuff to talk about with that too, but that's for another day.
Yeah, that's for another day. Alrighty, guys. I am Josh. He is Kevin, and we are getting out of here. Peace.